You're watching and listening to another Scoutcast from www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
My name is John T.
My name's Andy.
My name's Az.
And my name's Jay.
Yes, we've done it again, John T. In efforts to make us feel totally inadequate, we have invited Fantasy Premier League royalty, a proper Fantasy Premier League manager, to the Scoutcast. Last week it was Peter, who had an incredible record. He was top of our Hall of Fame, our career Hall of Fame. Tonight, we have got the leader of the live Hall of Fame, Jay Egersdorf. John T, do you want to introduce Jay's record? But first, Jay, welcome to the Scoutcast. First of all, we're not going to let you do any talking, so I want to just build you up a little bit more. John T, go over Jay's record, because it is.
Yeah, so I mean, this is his one. I'll count it down: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And about 12th season now, so he's a seasoned veteran, but quite an impressive career history. In fact, it's so impressive, he is top of our Hall of Fame at the moment. That technically means, until we can find some other managers, the best manager of all time, as far as we can tell.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, he's the best FPL manager of all time. He's never finished outside of the top 15,000. He finished 105th last season. There was another 101st finish in 2009, and countless other top 5,000 finishes, and lots more in the top 10,000. He pretty much does well most seasons, and a bad season for him is falling outside the top 10,000. That's how good he is. And this season, he's having an absolute stormer. He was around the 250 mark, and we think he's got a green arrow this week. And that's after taking, as he's going to explain a bit later, a 12-point hit. Incredible. So that's how well he was doing this season.
Incredible stuff.
Yeah, hopefully Joe better explain a bit more about his very maverick move this week and his plans over Christmas.
Yeah, Joe.
I think I'll just go now, Jonty, after that intro. That was brilliant. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on tonight's Scoutcast. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, I mean, it's really timely that you're on this week, because we were trying to set you up for a couple of weeks ago, and then we said, we'll get you on. We're doing a Monday night Scoutcast next week. We'll get you on. I knew nothing about this plan you were hatching at the time. The first I knew was Saturday morning, and then I watched the YouTube movie, and then, to be honest, we're going to talk a lot about it. But it's just very timely that you come on the show on the back of a 12-point hit. Which, hands up, Andy, what's the biggest hit you've ever taken? 12, 8? I've taken 8. That's about it. I think.
8.
Took a 16 last year, in fact.
Did you? 16?
In the blank game week, yeah.
Okay, Jay, is this the biggest hit you've ever taken in your FPL?
No, I've done similar before at a similar time. I've done it in previous years. I've never been this high up the rankings at this part of the season before, so that's part of the thinking behind it. I mean, it's obviously quite an aggressive move, and it goes against my normal strategy. Okay,
so it goes against your normal strategy. So we're on the kind of Dullard to Maverick scale, where John T and Villaronca are over here on the Dullard, and I'm kind of here on the Maverick, where full Maverick is over here. Where would you put yourself?
Probably sat on John T's knee.
What, you would consider yourself a Dullard, really?
Probably. I'm very risk averse. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Wow. That's interesting, because we talk a lot about Villaronca, the mysterious Villaronca, and his ways where he's very cautious with hits, isn't he, John T?
Yeah.
And yet this behaviour from Jay, I wouldn't have classed it as that. But
well, you say that, but Villaronca, I think last season or the season before, he took a 12-point hit around about this time as well. And they find a lot of the top managers do that. They look at their rank, and if they're doing well, and they think, not good enough, I want to do better. I mean, that's why, out of the career Hall of Fame top 5, which yourselves included, the only one of you that's having a good season is Jay, because he's making these types of moves at a particular time as well. He's just making the right calls, really. I mean, we've spoken about it as well. Kane out, and that's a big call to make. It's a call I was advocating and didn't actually do myself, so I found myself with a bit of money anyway, but spare cash from Morata. But he just does it, and but it's not actually that maverick. It's actually quite dull, really, because Jay, you've looked at the fixtures, you've looked at the form.
I think
Kane hasn't got it.
I think it's what I've learned this season. We've been. I mean, I was like 47th, was I? 57th a couple of weeks ago. And what I've learned, how I've got to that position, is actually not necessarily having a great captain score every week. What's got me there is having a really consistent team. So if you think about when you're backing Kane, he's the most expensive player on the game. If he ain't going to be your captain, why have you got him?
Yeah.
So you then have him as your captain and he gets 2 goals, he gets 13 points, doubles up, that's 26. Well, if the other 10 players don't get a great score, then you're not going to get much further past 50 anyway. So I think people... I'm not doing this Kane out move thinking, oh, he ain't going to score for 3 weeks. It's a calculated risk. I thought Spurs would get beat at City, and I was right. Burnley aren't letting many in. So, all right, you might get 1. I mean, even, is he going to get 2 goals away at Burnley? Burnley going to let 2 in at home? And if they do, he's got to get them both. And then the Southampton at home, I can accept he might do quite well. But I think I said in the video that I put up on my YouTube thing the other day, in that Southampton game, because the rotation and stuff. So people are getting excited about a player that might not even be there. And the move only came about, and I was literally playing about with it on my phone, and I took Kane out. And what you could do with the money was just crazy. So it was just thinking... I'll invest 12 points, and how many game weeks are left? 18? So what's that a week in points? It's 0.75 or something? If I've worked that out in the top of my head quickly. You're probably better at maths than me. So it's not a great investment.
But, I mean, Jay, the thing is, Kane didn't go out on your 12-point hit.
Oh, I see what you mean.
No, I mean, you got rid of Kane several weeks ago.
Sorry. No, I got rid of Kane just now.
Oh, was he part of the 12-point hit?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry, I wasn't aware of that. I thought I didn't think
Kane exit, Mark. Come on.
Okay, so it was
to move all the money.
I thought you'd already got rid of Kane weeks ago. I thought it was
no. Just this week.
Okay. Well, I mean, it was. I mean, the thing is, we can't judge it. I mean, it turns out you would have been pushing 100 points without the hit.
Yeah, you're right.
So you've got to judge it. We've got to judge it later and not now.
You've got to judge it in May. You've just got to judge it at
in
the
May.
end.
Well,
no, because the whole point of doing it isn't. Yes, there's a short-term thing. So if Kane goes does really well, but those 4 or 5 players I bring in with the money that Kane gives me, if they all perform in the next few weeks and all go up in value, you've got 4 or 5 guys that have increased in value. That means when I come and do my second wild card, I might have slightly more. It's such sliding doors stuff, and all I've learned is getting into that top 50 already in this stage of the season. It's about the balance of your team. The game is all about probability. So yes, if you're backing Harry Kane, the Golden Boot top scorer, he's going to do pretty well. But if you spread that across the rest of your team, and if you look, isn't it funny that they've done -12 this week? The 4 lads that have come in have done nothing.
This is it.
Still had a great week.
This is what's ironic in that the move you've made hasn't benefited you yet. I mean, what you're saying, you see it benefit, but the immediate impact isn't there, so we can't judge it yet.
Right, but then at the same time, I mean, I put De Gea in goal, and I lost out on a Speroni clean sheet. But put your hand up if you thought that Palace were going to win at Leicester 2-0. Nobody would have backed that. So I don't mind losing those points. It doesn't bother. Bonnie, I put in and he got injured after 5 minutes. I don't mind. I can accept they're the points that just get thrown away year after year after year. Because if you had them, you'd lose more points in other places by playing. You've got to play consistently, if that makes sense. So you're always going to back De Gea over Speroni, aren't you?
I was sure that you were going to get in someone like Sanchez or Lacazette or someone like a big, expensive, risky.
I looked at Lacazette and I didn't bother with him because he just doesn't play the whole match. So what do you want him for? He never completes 90 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. But as a kind of, I don't know, I thought there was going to be some kind of like big, but you spread the points out a lot more than I thought.
Well, I've left some money in the bank, and the plan was, and I'll have to perhaps look at this now with the David Silva thing, but I was going to upgrade a defender, and so it would leave me with Kolasinac, Alonso, and another 3 premium defenders. And with De Gea, I thought that's just a drip feed of points. You could just leave that, and as long as they don't get injured, you could never have to touch that again, and that'll just feed through points.
Is there any part of you not going to get Kane back for the double, or is that just stupid talk?
No. As soon as that double got announced, it went like a petrol on a bonfire excitement. People going, "Oh, a double game week." Well, these are 2 games within 72 hours. Am I right?
Yeah, 2 days.
Double game weeks. 2 days apart. So you look at the history of double game weeks. More often than not, the second game, there's huge rotation in that game. So, yeah, I'll probably look at nearer the time getting him back in, but I'm not getting really excited about it now. The other factor is there's about 3-4 games in between there and now. You know, loads of stuff could happen.
Plus, those players, I actually looking at it a bit more today because you kind of inspired me a bit. Like West Ham and Swansea aren't conceding. I know that Swansea obviously conceded 3 tonight, so maybe that's not the case anymore. But West Ham have really tightened up, so I don't know how good it'll be. Don't know. I can definitely see the reason to do it.
I think, yeah, but there are some factors here in that West Ham have got a cup tie 2 days later, and Spurs have got a cup tie 2 days later. But Spurs probably
against Wimbledon, isn't it?
Spurs and West Ham at Shrewsbury away. So it's a question of West Ham's priorities are going to be probably a bit more on the cup than Spurs. So there's that as well. I don't see Kane playing against AFC Wimbledon for sure. So
let's look at it another way then, right? Let's say Kane over those 2 games gets 4 goals. So he gets, let's say, what would that be? Say he gets 13 twice, so 26 times 2, he's getting 52 points. In that period of time, in those couple of weeks that it would take you to chop and change your team, if you played a more consistent team, like say the team I've got set up, how far off would that balance be? Bearing in mind, I can choose to captain Salah, Hazard, Firmino, De Gea, whoever else, all these A players that I have. And I'm not saying this is what I'm going to do, but the point I'm making is people don't get clouded vision over this double game week. Oh, I've got to have Kane. Because you can do so much else with the money. Are the points going to be about even? So that was my thinking with the hit. Wasn't that I'm going to be massive strides ahead, but actually, what's the actual risk? And I sat there and worked it out as best I could on Saturday morning before I did it, and I didn't think the risk was that great. I thought actually it'll be about an even keel, but I'll have a better team going forward, and more reliable, consistent team.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. And actually, I think you've been really unfortunate because what's happened is, because, I mean, if Kolasinac had started, well, the thing is that if you didn't go into next week with Kolasinac I know. I know. This week, I think it was there. But what I'm saying is now you've got issues with Bonnie and so on. And that's unfortunate, which you couldn't have seen. So actually, if you come out of this and it works, you've actually gone against some bad luck as well with that. I think, based on
the bad luck's the bad luck. I mean, the David Silva thing, if it's a personal problem, then that's, obviously that comes far more important than our fantasy football teams. So I can accept that as part and parcel of life, let alone the Bonnie one, which is part and parcel of the game. So you can accept those ones. But what I do have with some cash in the bank, if Silva is, got an issue there, I can go straight on to De Bruyne if I want. Nobody else has got De Bruyne. So again, I think he's got Bournemouth and then Burnley, is it at home? He's got another home fixture. Am I right? Straight after?
I think so. I mean, they've got good fixtures, City, we know that.
Yeah.
Do you have quite an emotion? Like, you don't seem to play with a lot of emotion, Jay, whereas I think the rest of us do. We get excited and we bring people in. And
it was beaten out of me by the Venkies. I'm a Blackburn fan, and so it's been, I absolutely hate them with a passion, but no, it's kind of beaten out of me. So that's dead helpful though, because I play the game. I'm very impartial, so you don't have any allegiance to the teams. So you're playing with your head the whole time. So that does actually help.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to come back to this later because I've got a few more questions about what you're going to do coming up.
Cool.
Because it is fascinating what you've done. Because it is, I mean, in the position you're in, none of us have been in your position at this time. I've never been in the top 100 at the end, at this stage in the season, and with a chance to win it. And yet you've made this decision with that as a background, which is fascinating.
Well, I think just quickly, I'll just say on that then, what swung it as well for me was thinking to myself, sitting there in May and you finish whatever you end up finishing, you'd hope to think that being 50th in December, it would be fairly decent. And thinking, I stuck with Kane that Christmas and he did all right. Why, if only I'd have gambled, why didn't I go for it while I had the chance? Don't live with regret. I just thought, let's go for it. Let's try and do something creative to get ahead. And if it doesn't work, then at least you tried.
No, I absolutely get it. I mean, it's let's face it, it's been a very strange season with Kane and the forwards in general. And so there's every chance it can work out, because we're seeing at the moment, and one of the questions we've got tonight is about the Power 5 midfield, and that's effectively what you're going to end up having. Let's just look at our game weeks first of all. What's your tally at the moment, Jay, right now?
Total score?
Yeah,
must be about 1,100.
The game week score.
Oh, sorry. It'll be 80 plus Calvert-Lewin, so that'll probably be another 6 minus 12.
It's 86.
Calvert-Lewin will get bonus.
Yeah, it's 86 minus 12.
With Dunk off as well. We've got Dunk coming on as well, haven't we?
I've included that.
Okay. Yeah. Good old Dunk. Gets his first lot of bonus for the season. That's the incredible score, which has beaten us all, not surprisingly. John T, that's top of the pile. We were watching, weren't we, waiting to see what the score would be out of this. But, like I say, you can't judge what Jay has done on this game week alone. So we're going to be watching very carefully from now until 22 and beyond exactly how this works out. Your game week, Lo, talk about fortune. What we've just seen on Monday night. You're getting a lot of stick on the site, John T.
Yeah, well, it's deserved.
We were talking about it earlier. We've all had penalty saves. We've all had them. I don't think I've had a penalty save and then the rebound converted by one of my players, though. That is extra jam.
So I went into tonight on 48 points, going in it with Kenny, Fabianski, and Calvert-Lewin, and they all got me points. And yes, of course, Fabianski fingertipped the ball onto the post, and Calvert-Lewin came in to score it. So yeah, that was a very jammy move, getting both, because that wipes. So the other thing about that is that wipes out any Swansea clean sheets that are floating out there, and so you benefit from that. It's quite rare. I think the jammiest thing I ever had was that Sunderland Spurs match when Bent kept missing and getting penalties, and Gomez kept saving them, and they just kept going on like that, and both of them racked up a huge haul by the end of it. So all in the end, I presume I would get a green arrow with 60. I think 66. I'm going to end on, and Captain Hazard. So I got a little bit of points for that, but after captaining Kane all those times, I'm quite happy.
Yeah, he dropped out the bonus, didn't he? He was in the bonus for a little bit, but dropped out mainly because Alonso.
But the start for me, really, Firmino. Now this guy owes me. Last season, I got rid of him for Lallana, who got injured, and then Firmino went on to put in his best performance of the season, and I missed out on all those points, and it's pretty much gotten back now, season too late, and that's great. So I've had a really rocky fantasy relationship with Bobby Firmino, and obviously going to keep him now, see how he goes, and hopefully get me some more points over Christmas.
Yeah, me too. I played my wild card because of Bobby. He almost broke my season. It took me weeks to fix it, and now he goes and gets. Love him as a player. I'm looking at him, of course.
You should get him in.
Yeah, it's tempting, but as soon as I get him in, it will go wrong for you for sure. So maybe I should avoid it. Not a bad game week for you. Not bad. I got 63. I'm fairly happy with that. I thought I was going to get a small green arrow. It's probably going to be a small red now, thanks to Rooney. But it's okay. It's not disastrous, and I'm set up well for the next game week. I think I went in with 2. I saved my transfer, so I've got 2 free transfers, which would be handy. And I'm happy with that. But yeah, the Hazard Salah thing, it's difficult, isn't it? Salah, I'm going to have to come around to captain him eventually. I don't know why. I just felt the bonus points might give Hazard the edge, but it didn't work out that way. Salah is just a machine. Andy, your game week, how'd you do?
Yeah, I finished on 57. Just another okay week. First captain return in a while, but it was only 6 from Hazard. So yeah, just nothing really going too well. Just all the players that did well, everyone's got anyway. I benched 20 points this week. I completely agreed last week that Burnley and Brighton was going to be 0-0. Bench Duffy and me, and just 57. Nothing fantastic.
And as
I got 59.
Okay.
Calvert-Lewin and Kenny tonight. Yeah, I went into the week with no City, and I wasn't too happy after Saturday. That's going to change this week. Believe me. I just thought Spurs would pop a fight. I said last week. I thought that could be the game they lose, and that's why Jay's so good and I'm not, because I got that completely wrong.
I'm shaking my head.
Yeah, they just got completely turned over. As I think everyone, I think I now accept that City are just going to win every game.
Yeah, and did you watch the game? It must be painful watching it with no City. I can't really imagine what that must be like.
And especially without Sterling, because he is just. He could have had 5 goals or something ridiculous in that game. He was just completely he's I think he's just the man to have. So I'm definitely going to be bringing him in this week. But I had Coutinho, who I've had for a few weeks, who was kind of my differential pick. So I was really happy yesterday when he got a goal and assist and 2 bonus. So it was an okay week. A small red arrow, and I think I might be losing Pascal Gross as well. So it's
finally got to go for you.
Team a bit.
Okay, so is Pascal Gross going as part of a move to the Power 5 midfield? I think that's the big question that everyone's asking, Jonty. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, loads of questions on this. So, Team Cruel, surely it's time for a 5-man powerhouse in midfield, he calls it. He says, for some context, 7 midfielders, this was prior to tonight, 7 midfielders have scored more than the 3 best forwards. These midfielders are all cheaper than those 3 strikers. Mark Harbrow, with the striker situation the way it is, should FPL actually introduce a 4-6-0 formation? Well, that might come in handy, actually. And James 101, I like this one because it's just quite simple, really. It's a good way for us to discuss it, really. Who are the best 5 midfielders to get in the next few weeks? So I think for this, we'll come to Jay first, because you're already in having that 5-man midfield. You haven't got any magic beans there to stink up your midfield. So for you, who is at the moment, and perhaps over for Christmas, what is the best 5-man midfield to have?
Okay, so we're accepting that Salah and Hazard, they're given.
Yeah, I think Hazard might be. I think some people might think it's just, but Salah definitely would be a given.
Okay, so Salah's in, so we need to find 4 more. So I think you need. They're about the same price, aren't they? Sane and Sterling. Sane, Sterling, and Silva. So let's assume Silva's still in the game. So you need at least 1, if not 2 of those. Would you say?
Yeah, or De Bruyne.
Right. So De Bruyne is a bit more expensive. So. I think the answer to your question is it's really hard, isn't it? To actually say, right, here are the 5.
It's like you're the new Mark. It's difficult.
You've got Coutinho, haven't you, as well? You've got Coutinho in there as well. You said straight away, challenge the Hazard thing. So there's clearly some debate there.
There is.
But I think you could probably say there's maybe 8 or 9 names that you could chuck in there. And it would depend on whether you wanted extra money for your defence.
So do you think that there are any slightly lower down that should go in there, or rather just a player like a slot? So for example, a kind of a Richarlison shaped slot.
Well, I've got him, and I think I was really concerned that I didn't have him because I looked at, he was clearly their best player, and they had some great fixtures. And if it wasn't for these red cards that they've been totting up, those games are just, they're not real matches. You know, the scores, when Deeney gets sent off after half an hour, you can't count that as a 4-1 trouncing. It's just, it's like an irrelevant match.
Yeah.
The Palace one a bit less so, but he did get an assist in that game.
But I was just thinking in terms of balance about that kind of price.
I think it's good value.
Yeah.
I think what we're talking about, when you go back to the Kane thing, that's what we're talking about. That's the key word, value. What's the value in the player? So Kane is nearly 13 million. If he isn't firing, then he's not worth it, is he? So Richarlison is, what's he? 6'6"?
6'6", yeah.
Right. So, okay, he's not fired massively, but if you look at the stats, he's going to when I was trying to work out what's going to happen in the next few weeks, he's going to score, isn't he? You'd think, in the next 3 games.
Yeah. I mean, I always think with a player, if you look at their price and you look at their points average, their points average is somewhere near their price. You've got a great player. Okay. So for example, Kane was getting 13 points every week.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, that's
no problem. One. But that's the way I'd look at it with Richarlison. If Richarlison can get me 5 to 6 points most weeks, maybe 2 points here, maybe 7 points there, but on average about 5 or 6 points, and he's costing me about 6.5 million. I think that's pretty good value, because if you add that up across the 11, you're getting 100 points every week if that all works out to plan, which of course it never does. But that's the way I tend to look at it. So, for example, that's why I questioned Hazard, and I think others are, because they're looking at 10.5 and they're thinking, am I getting double-digit scores out of him most weeks, like I am with Salah, like I am with Sterling?
I think why you've got to keep on to Hazard in the short term is the fixtures. They're just good fixtures, aren't they?
No, it's good. It's just interesting because of the Hazard thing. What
I think with Hazard as well, what's worrying though is that with Morata not there, his last 2 games, his goal threat has been reduced. That false 9 role, which we get excited about that sometimes, but it doesn't always help players.
But that Huddersfield game, he should have had 2 assists in that game.
Yeah, he always looks like getting assists. Yeah, I mean, basically, William and Pedro missed chances, certainly Pedro. But I do think that it's weird. I think Morata, if he comes back in, I want to see them play in the way they were playing, but I don't think Conte likes that system. I think he has gone back to the 3 now. So we'll have to see whether Hazard comes back in at the 10 or whether he stays out on the left. That's going to be quite interesting.
I just want to say there's another question here from Pal, and followers of Fantasy Football Scout will know this guy, Pal. He correctly said, and we'll give him a slap on the wrist for saying Hazard and Azpilicueta are going to be bench, mark my words, this weekend.
What's he saying now?
Well, no, the fact is that he said it, and so he knows, and then they were. Now he knows, so he's a man in the know. So he's now saying, with Big Sam shutting up shop, Arsenal away and a likely rest against Brighton or Stoke, is Hazard to De Bruyne attempting for the next 4? So he's looking at Chelsea's next fixtures there, and he's telling us, bearing in mind this is a guy that knows intimately that Conte is going to be benching certain players, that Hazard, there's no way Hazard is playing against Brighton and Stoke. He's going to miss one of them.
How does he know that?
Well, we don't know. We don't
know. He won't say, but he has a reliable source because it was so preposterous what he was saying. It's so pinpoint to say Azpilicueta in particular would be. So he's got a source. So if he's saying that, I don't know. Maybe he'll come back on site and say, "Oh, I didn't mean it like that." But I think the point he's making there. But the point he's making there is you've got to look at Hazard and De Bruyne, and they're the same price, and you have to look at what they're delivering. And I think that's the thing I take away from that.
I think the thing I'd say though is watch out for De Bruyne being rotated and rested.
Okay.
If I'm really interested in that City lineup tomorrow night, this Carling Cup match, or whatever it's called nowadays, because if he goes for a full strength team, then that puts a question mark for me over who plays against Bournemouth. Because you'd have thought, they could probably afford to rotate against Bournemouth because in the unlikely event of getting beat, it doesn't really matter.
I can't see it. I mean, I think that we're expecting a Sterling rest, aren't we? Maybe Sané.
At some point.
I think if Silva's out, I can't see.
But if Silva's out, yeah.
If Silva's out, I can't. He needs De Bruyne. He couldn't go in there without Silva and De Bruyne. Because I think the Pep Guardiola of last season and previous City managers have underestimated lesser teams.
Yeah.
And they think, oh well, look, so and so's racking up. We'll rest all the big guns, and they get turned over, or they get a 0-0 draw. I remember, was it Stoke got a 0-0 draw out of them, and they came in famous in a double game week last.
It was, yeah.
It was last.
Everyone
last
had Aguero captain.
Yeah,
remember?
No one expected.
Well, I mean, let's go over the rounds on the midfield question, because one name that we haven't mentioned yet, who's coming back into the equation, which does make the Power 5 even more tempting. I know Jonty's looking at it, is Pogba. So I mean, what's your thoughts on abandoning? I guess going to one heavy hitter up front and going 5 in midfield. Is that something now you're looking at? Because you went heavy at the back at the start, so I know you favour looking beyond the strikers.
Yeah, so I went heavy at the back and then heavy up front with 3 big strikers, and then I tried to take some funds out and go sort of big-ish in the middle. But now I'm thinking I need to go fully big in the middle. So I'm looking at downgrading Kane and Morata this week and getting in. I need to get a City player. But I think that the two sort of differential picks that have really low ownership, which I think could be good for people who are looking to climb up the ranks, are Coutinho, just because he's just playing out of his skin at the moment. When he actually starts, the trouble is Klopp is rotating. Jason's rotation a lot. Klopp in particular it's just gone absolutely mad with benching people at the moment. And Pogba, who you said, who's coming back, and he's got 7 assists and 3 goals or something, were we saying before this started?
Yeah, it's 7 points per match he's averaging, so he's 3rd, I think.
Unbelievable. And with him, United just a completely different side. He makes Lukaku a better option. They've got great fixtures coming up. He could be on penalties as well, like quite a few people seem to think. And he's 7.9. And I think actually, if you have got the money to, if you're still holding on to someone like Gross or even Richarlison, he could be quite a sensible sort of person just if you can free up some money to go for him. So yeah, they'd be the two that I'd consider.
So I mean, you're getting rid of Morata and Kane. You're making 2 transfers.
No, Morata or Kane.
Right, yeah. So you only need to get rid of one. So you'll go one heavy hitter, one medium price, and one budget.
Austin, who I'll probably get, and then rotate them depending on the better fixture, because they actually rotate quite nicely.
I mean, Andy, are you buying into this as well?
Yeah, absolutely. The problem, my particular team is I got too much money in defence to do what I'd like to do, but I don't see why you wouldn't. I look at Man City and think I have to have 3 players from that team. I've got Otamendi, so it's just a midfielder to add with Sterling. As it's just like rolled out what Pogba's done this season. He's just, every time he's been in the team, he's looked good. Man United got some pretty good fixtures, and we're still scoring goals without him. So I think we're only going to do better with him. So if you can, I don't see why you don't. I mean, for my team, it would involve playing Calvert-Lewin as a second striker, because that's how kind of my money's laid out, and I'm not sure I want to do that.
Why not, Andy?
Well, I might do. I might just do it, but I don't know. I don't have the cojones like you to do a move like that. I play too much fear-based, basically.
But just put it simple. Everton are massively on form. He's playing well. He's scoring goals, and he's playing up front. What's not to like?
I'd maybe disagree that he's playing well. I think he got a bit lucky tonight. I thought he was awful, actually.
No.
He's in form.
Statistically, yeah, for the fantasy, it doesn't matter if he's playing well and the fans like him. It's what matters about his fantasy points.
I know we didn't even have a shot the game before last. I don't know. I may still do it, because I think having a second City midfielder, it's like you say, value. It's going to be much better than having just Kane or Morata.
Yeah, you can't have your cake if Dominic Calvert-Lewin's 5 point whatever million. You can't expect him to have 10 shots.
Oh yeah.
As a 10 million striker. But if he enables you to have a much better midfielder and he chips in 5-6 points a week, happy days.
Yeah, no, and I agree. That's why I've been looking at it today. I've been trying to convince myself that Kane out is the right move to make. I don't know if it will, but I will probably. A lot of it, which we're going to talk about later, comes down to Richarlison as well, whether I think he's still part of that 5 or not. And I think he's been a bit unlucky, so he probably is for me, in which case I can do it by dropping Morata. So I'm all for a power 5 right now. I think that's where the money is. There's still, De Bruyne, we say, is expensive. Hazard's expensive, but there's so many cheap ones in there still. I don't see why we're not all aiming for that, to be honest.
Yeah, John, are you going with it as well?
Yeah. Well, I've already planned it. Yeah, it's because that's why I've got money in the bank. So part of the thing I had in my mind with selling Morata, why I didn't make a move this week, is because I was aware of Pogba coming back. This is the 3rd opportunity for me to get Pogba. I had him in pre-season and then got rid of him, and it's what you do, not what you don't do, and then missed down all those points, and then he got injured, and then when he came back again, I had other things to do, didn't get him in. He goes, scores lots of points, then gets suspended. This is now my 3rd Pogba chance. I'm determined not to miss it this time. I think he's great over Christmas. He's got Leicester away, Burnley at home, Southampton at home, Everton away, Stoke at home. It's a sea of blue on the fixture ticker. So for me, I've got Hazard, Salah, Sterling, Richarlison, Loftus-Cheek. I've got money and the move to make. Upgrade. Your favourite Magic Bean is going to go, and he's going to be upgraded to Pogba, which I think is quite a nice upgrade. I think.
So you can do that in one step.
I could do that in two free transfers, because I've got 2.8 in the bank, and I plan to get a West Ham defender. And we're going to be discussing them later in for Maguire, who has impressed me when he plays, but as a fantasy asset, he's disappointed me. And he got 0 this week. So he's left as he started, really disappointing me.
So Pogba's coming in for Loftus-Cheek, and then you'll play 5 in midfield.
And so Calvert-Lewin will become
your 3rd striker.
8th. He'll become my Loftus-Cheek in a way. So he'll be the guy that will be the first on the bench, who, as we saw tonight, I'm pretty happy to come in, because there's going to be rotation. So I'm sure I'm going to get a game or 2 out of him over Christmas. Yeah,
I mean, I've got to look at it as well. I mean, it's obviously Calvert-Lewin at 5'4", I think he is now. Like Jay said, he's doing the job. I mean, even if, I don't know if I'd go in and play him every week, but certainly coming off the bench as he's done for a few of us, or a few people tonight, he's done the job. And he's playing up front in a team who are a top 10 side. They should do well. And he's got a role at least until end of January, when Big Sam will bring somebody in. But I don't see Nias being a threat. We've said before that he likes the way that Calvert-Lewin plays. He wins a lot in the air, does a lot of running. He had a 1-on-1 tonight. He's not a great finisher, but he'll get you. He's getting assists, and he's getting the odd goal, and that's enough for what you pay. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking. Obviously, Morata's the one in danger. For me, I mean, Kane is never something I'm comfortable doing that. But Morata, I've never really liked Morata. So Morata to Calvert-Lewin is a route I could go down if I wanted to upgrade.
Why have you not liked him, Mark? What
I don't know. I was never convinced at the start of the season when everyone jumped on him then, and I'm still not convinced now. I only got him in because, like you mentioned, about the fixtures and Chelsea's fixtures, and also because Lukaku was so off form. Lukaku to Morata was the obvious move to make, and then lo and behold, he's not really impressed. He had the injury or fatigue, and Conte is a worry with his reluctance to play a player twice in a week, because that's what we're talking about with rotation with Morata. I think it was just he is very wary of playing him too much because he picked up that injury, and I think that's going to continue. So I'm not expecting him to play. I think he'll come back at Everton, but I expect him to get another rest over Christmas. So I'm worried about him. So Morata to Firmino or Morata to Calvert-Lewin would be the way, but the only way I can upgrade to 5 midfield would be to Calvert-Lewin. Watching him tonight, though, as I said, he's doing a job, isn't he? And Coutinho or Pogba could be a route to go down. I could go Sané as well. I guess he'll want to double on City, but my only way with City is when are they going to start getting complacent? When are they going to start taking the foot off the gas? But it's not happening, is it? And I don't think that's going to happen.
I know you're chatting about De Bruyne getting a rest. I don't know how that man's still running. He's involved in every single attack, and he's back, winning the ball back at every single opportunity. I don't see how he can go. I know he's young, and we always say that about players, but we see so many of them needing rest. I just don't know how much longer he can go on for. It's crazy. His
rest will be, one of those where they get like 5 days off to go home for Christmas, or one of those they just disappear and appear on Instagram in Dubai. It's going to be one of those.
Well, it could be before their FA Cup.
Could well be.
He'll miss that.
He likes doing that. He's given a lot of them a rest. I mean, obviously Aguero famously said, "Off you pop to a concert," and well, that didn't quite work out well. But
no, it didn't.
But nevertheless, he does do that exactly. Yeah, and I think it works. De Bruyne. I was going to say De Bruyne.
Were you at the concert?
No, I wasn't. No, or driving the taxi. I was going to say De Bruyne. Of all the players I don't own and probably won't own because it would require probably getting Hazard out, is De Bruyne. I think he is probably the best captain shout this week because I think he's going to start and I think he's so involved. I just think he's a great
big overlooked, isn't he? Like, you think he's the best player in the league for the best.
Well, it's the price tag, isn't it? And people want, but the thing is, he's quietly getting that, and it's difficult if you are sticking with Kane or the likes of Morata, and you've got Hazard. You can't. But I mean, at the moment, he's just better than Hazard. I mean, if I wasn't going for Pogba, I would definitely very, very considering that move to get De Bruyne in for Hazard.
I still think. I mean, he's upped his goal rate recently, but we've got to remember there was a period of the season where we were just going, oh, he's playing too deep. He doesn't take enough shots. Doesn't get in the box enough. He has scored some fantastic goals, which have all gone in for him. So it's difficult whether he's going to maintain that. I don't know. I think him and Hazard will be the top scoring players this season.
It hinges on the Silva thing for De Bruyne. If Silva's unavailable, then if you noticed on Saturday, he was a bit more aggressive in his attacking because Silva wasn't there. And I think if Silva's not around for a few weeks, that just opens that door because it takes away the rotation problem and not completely, but a little more. And it means he's going to have to step up in Silva's absence.
Yeah, well, Gundogan is naturally a bit more defensive than Silva, so that would make sense. But we need to see it more, don't we? But yeah, I agree with Jonty. I think De Bruyne at the weekend, if you got him, is a great captain. I think everyone's going to be looking at Sterling, but I mean, De Bruyne at the moment, his form is ridiculous, isn't it? He's involved in so much of what they do. That's the key. Sterling might have a greater goal threat, but you can bet that De Bruyne is going to get the passes that lead to the assist, or at least the assist itself, and he's just doing everything for them at the moment. It is incredible how he's playing. Player of the year. Said it at the start of last season. It didn't quite come through, but I think he's on that path this season.
He started the season so bad. He really let us down. He started at 10 million. We're all saying he's not worth that money. And indeed he wasn't. The first 4 or 5 games, he was just nowhere. And then suddenly, as Jay, just another part of your season, Jay, it was a week where everyone, right, I've had enough of De Bruyne. Everyone got rid of him, except for you. You kept him. and that was the week he finally got a double-digit haul. But I was wondering, I don't know, has that because that was quite a pivotal decision for you. I remember the rest of the career Hall of Fame top 5 just went out of the picture, and you were just rocketing up. But has that influenced you? Have you become a bit more patient, perhaps, with certain players, or just one of those things?
I think you've just got to watch these players with your own eyes. So I'll give you 2 examples. So when De Bruyne was under all that criticism, I watched Match of the Day, and I just didn't watch the ball. I just watched him. And I analysed it, and I realised that people were saying how deep he was playing, but actually he was attacking. He was getting forward a lot more than people thought, or that I felt people were saying. So I stuck with him. And then likewise the Kane thing. I was at the United City game, and I just watched De Bruyne and Silva and this Man City team take Man United apart, take them apart. And I just thought they're going to batter Spurs. So that's what, it wasn't the main thing, but it really helped. A few weeks ago, I was watching Liverpool-Chelsea. A mate of mine had got us some tickets. And I saw Alonso. And I said to my mate, I said, he's playing like a striker, this guy. So I put him in my team. And lo and behold, he's returned some points. So you talk about patience, yes. But if you're going to make these decisions, you just need to go and scout these players, watch the matches, but just watch what these guys do and just form an opinion, make your own mind up. Is their method of playing lending itself well to the fantasy game? And if it is, then go for it.
Great advice.
Yeah, Alonso, the thing about Alonso, he always looks like he's going to get involved in goals, and he just hasn't done it this season until he's got 2 free kicks as well. That's the other thing. He's got 3 goals this season, 2 of them free kicks. So from out open play, there's surely got to be more to come, because whenever I've seen him as well, and last season as well, he's just so involved in the final third. It's ridiculous. He should get far more points than he does. It was coming, but he needed the free kick. Whether he can maintain this, he's finally now justifying the price tag, and there's no talk of Azpilicueta anymore. But I don't know. He's a funny player, Alonso, because he does look like he should be bringing in shed loads of points. But he's also the first player we look at and go, oh, if I need any money, he hasn't delivered for me for 3 or 4 game weeks. And that's where the patience comes in. So it'll be interesting to see whether you stick with Alonso. Should he? Because you've got Christensen there delivering the clean sheets. So Alonso's got to deliver attacking points to warrant that extra outlay over Christensen, doesn't he?
Well, he's got another string to his bow, because I think that was the first free kick I'd seen him take on the right-hand side. The orthodox right-footed side. He normally takes on the other side, left foot.
It was a weird one, wasn't it? Because it was almost like they planned that, because Foster, the way he was taken curve around the wall, Foster can't get down quick. That's basically what the analyst probably told him. Yeah. No, I think that Alonso is a player we've all talked about on this Scoutcast a lot. And whenever any of us has him in our team, it's always, oh, how long can I hold on for Alonso for? And so I think that's what John T was getting at is the patience of these players, because you know that eventually it will come. But I think Alonso is always a test.
I miss him so much.
Yeah, you had him. How long did you hold him for, Az?
Ages, and he delivered. He delivered really nicely. But then I just took I had to take my money out of defence. So it was the formation change that made me lose him, not my loss of love for the man. Because watching him play is the greatest thing you can have in football. A defender who plays as a striker is fantastic.
Yeah, when you've got Alonso, watching Chelsea is very pleasurable, because you know that it's such a bonus if you get a goal from the defence, and yet he spends so much time in the attacking third, doesn't it? It's incredible. So
it wasn't lucky to get more against Southampton.
Yeah,
2 shots in that game. Yeah, I was worried watching it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Watching Chelsea play with Alonso is just fascinating. Well, okay, let's. I think we're all decided. The Power 5 looks like it's coming in. How quickly we're all going to do it. Obviously, Jay's already on it. John T, you got your plans hatched. The other 2 going. I'm gonna sit tight for 1 more week, I think, and see what happens with Morata. But it looks inevitable the way it's going, because of the way the forwards are underproducing, just not providing value. And the fact that at the moment there's so many big hitters in midfield that we need to get on. It's just a very.
Well, I think it's going back to that point about value, isn't it? So if you're looking at, say, Lacazette is a great example, because what's he, 10.5, something like that, 10.4 now, and he's not lasting 70 minutes. He's getting a goal. He's perhaps not getting bonus. So if he's getting best you're looking at 6-7 points, and that's just not good enough for that price. When Alonso is 6.9 and can get you a clean sheet and a goal every now and again, an assist. And I think that's the main thing with those strikers. And what we've had last season and this season is a real lack of those kind of 8 million they start with 7.5 strikers. I remember, I don't know what I'm looking at, this jumpers with goalposts or something. But back in my day, I'm sure we had loads of we had like people like Darren Bent and all these guys who were like chucking goals in, and Zaki, and all these players like this who had really good runs of games, and they were really cheap. We're just not getting any of them. I mean, Calvert-Lewin's done all right tonight, but I'm not expecting a goal every match from him, and we're just not getting that kind of.
Because even Richarlison now, you think with his fixtures, he should be delivering 8-9 points a game would be nice, but he's getting. No,
I think they'll be overlooking it. It's like so. Yeah, I mean, I just think there's been because Fantasy Premier League sadly have got their pricing right. There's been no bargains for us. There's been no stray. Remember when Kane was 5 or 5.5, or Andy Carroll back in the day, and there isn't really any of those bargains, and there hasn't really been for the last couple of seasons. Josh King was the nearest we got to it in the last couple of seasons, and he was a midfielder, and that was part of his.
Yeah, we're not going to get one of those again. I mean, Richarlison, I thought was going to get close, but it's just not happening. I mean, one of the strikers that's caused us problems is Morata, and we've got some questions on him, John, too.
Yeah, so Kloppen Schloppen said Hazard and Morata owners in particular. So this is you, Mark. Would you lose one or both in order to beef up your midfield? I'm looking at moving Morata out. To fund, similar move to me, to move Loftus-Cheek onto Pogba. Reigns of Castamere, he points out those fixtures, that Brighton and Stoke fixture right bang over Christmas. And do we really want to keep both for these matches, given that the rotation may mess that up? I got rid of Morata a couple of weeks ago because he wasn't going to play, but I also had that decision to move him on because I didn't think he was offering me 10+ million worth of points. So I kind of got Firmino, and I did say I was reluctant, but he's paid me back handsomely so far for that. And lots of other people have done so. So a lot of other people have made that move to, say, Rooney, for example. And Rooney's got an absolute hatful of points tonight. He's got 2 assists, 1 for a penalty and a goal as well. And, that's going to carry on, really. So I think, I agree with those. But I don't know about you, Mark, because you're thinking about the Morata, you're giving him another go. But...
Yeah, I don't like him. I wasn't very happy bringing him in, to be honest. I think I felt it was out of necessity at the time. I think 3 or 4 game weeks ago when Lukaku was misfiring, it looked so obvious to go to Morata, and I went that route. And now I kind of feel compelled to try and get something out of him. He's still got the fixtures, and he could do something at Everton. I think he will start at Everton. So he's basically got 1 more week, and that's it. But if I'm looking at beefing up the midfield, whichever one is, of course, then he's got to be the one that goes. Because for me, Kane is worth holding in comparison. I don't think we can put Morata on the same level.
There's a terrible irony that I don't own Morata, but I was willing him to play. I wanted him to start. I wanted him to get points, even though I don't own him and just ditched him. Because when he starts and gets points, Hazard's going to get points.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of cruel irony. I think time has passed now. I can live with Morata getting points, but that's what you want from them. But having both of them, I don't know. I think it's too much money. I think it's too much money for a team that we've seen is no Man City. 21 million.
And that's the other thing as well. I was never convinced by Chelsea's goal threat. I looked at the stats, the underlying stats behind it, and I was never enamoured with them as an attack. They're not on the same level as Liverpool or Man City. Quite similar to United, I guess, in that they'll get enough goals to win a game, but they won't all go for the throat. And so, I think having both it was always risky. And as it's turned out, Morata with his issues, whether it be fatigue or the back injury, has caused me problems. But I think at the moment,
what's going on with Jay at the moment?
I know. I was just laughing. Jay's been taking a sort of tour of his
having
house.
Rebuilt his fantasy team. He's rebuilding his house.
While I've been talking. So on the audio version, people are going to be listening very intently to what we've just been discussing there, Mark. And on the video version, they'll just be focused on where the hell Jay's got to.
What he's doing. I just think that I think Morata's got to be at risk for all of us now, and he's going to carry on getting a lot of sales. He's got to come in and produce double figures at Everton. Otherwise,
it's too much money to. I just think 20 million for 2 Chelsea players when they're not scoring that many goals. Okay, the fixtures are great, rotation's hitting. There's better options for around the 10 million mark than Morata, which is why it's between. I'd either have to sell Coutinho, Kane, or Morata, and I just can't decide which one. I mean, I'm not getting rid of Coutinho after his showing yesterday. There's going to be Kane or Morata, and you can make a case for them.
Like for me, like and this is coming back to fear again. They're both one yellow away from missing a game, right? So I just got this awful fear that if I make the move this week and the other one gets yellow carded, then I'm really going to be up, creek without a paddle.
Diego Costa.
and that's really going to be tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of agree. Like I think one of them has to go. I just think there's so much money in midfield, and if you're like me and I guess Mark, and you don't want to get rid of Kane, it has to be Morata. It almost feels like you're getting rid of him by default because you want to keep Kane. But I agree with what was said in the show. I wouldn't put money on Kane scoring a brace against Burnley. I think Spurs have been rubbish this year. It's not just Kane. Spurs are rubbish. They're like 20 odd points already off Man City. They're only just ahead of Everton now. They're just not performing. So if they didn't have that double game week, I'd say we'd all be much more likely to take Kane out right now, and maybe even keep Morata because he's cheaper and the fixtures are better. And I think him and Hazard looked right when they played.
The thing is, it's getting rid of both. There aren't any alternatives other than doing what Jay's done, which is obviously flood your money into. It's not only has Jay flooded his money into midfield, he's flooded it into defence as well. So it's not all about the midfield here. That's the thing. I think that we can look at midfield and we're obviously fixated on that. But right now, you'd have to spend the money. If you're getting Morata and Kane out, you'd have to pour it into defence as well. So it's more or less a wild card situation, which could come up early next year. But if you took Morata and Kane out, it's going to take you a while to maximise that money, unless you do what Jay has done with a 12-point hit, of course.
I was just going to say one of the things I've been having a look at some of the stats over the last 4 matches. So this is all players, and I was looking at those who've got basically 6+ shots on target over the last 4 matches. And Morata is part of that gang, and so he's pretty much in underlying stats in terms of shots, big chances. That's a key one as well. And chances created. He's really holding his own with the likes of De Bruyne, Coutinho, Rooney. We've got to add him into that mix as well. And Kane as well, who's obviously an underlying stats. But so if you do follow underlying stats, Morata is certainly not dipping there. He's certainly offering a lot. But that's the thing. Do we think those underlying stats are going to be converted into double-digit scores every other week, which is what you're going to want for a 10 million plus?
Well, I think a few weeks ago when I was watching Hazard and Morata at West Brom, and they blew him away, I was getting very excited about Hazard and Morata. I thought they looked good as a pairing. Chelsea looked like they didn't just win that game 1 or 2-0. They won 4-1, I think, or 4-0. And at that point, we looked like, well, that's it. Right decision. Lukaku to Morata, have Hazard in midfield, job done. 2 or 3 weeks later, it's very different. So it's typical of this season, and that everything can change like that. We've seen it with Kane. Kane has gone from we've got to sell him earlier in the season to we've got to captain him a week later. So one thing I've learned this season is that it can all change very quickly, which is, and Andy's point about the bookings, yeah, I looked at exactly that. I can't get rid of one of them because the other one could get suspended. So I need to go into next weekend with 2 free transfers and then look at what to do. But I'm going to give Morata 1 more game week, but I'm probably going to be in the minority there. I think a lot of Morata owners will be selling on or selling Kane because it's just the way it is.
I actually think maybe not too much has changed. We're just maybe a bit late to the party. Like Man City midfielders have been scoring points all year. It's just taken us this long to decide that now we get to him. Pogba, every time he's been in the team, has done well. Okay, fine, he got injured, suspended. I don't know if much has really changed. Like Lukaku scored again, but he's not getting big hauls. He hasn't really done that all season. I just think maybe we've been a bit late to switch from the big guns up front to midfield.
I don't know. I think Morata and Morata's had his time where he's looked like he's gonna be the force, and I think that Kane has always been a factor, obviously, in our thinking. But and also the choice of midfielders to go for as I mean, I look at my midfield. I've still got Salah, I've still got Hazard, I've still got Sterling, and I've got Richarlison. So it's not a bad midfield. So it's only one step to go, or two transfers to go into a 5-man. I mean, it's not massive surgery. So I've always had that choice, but I've always thought, well, I want to stick with the two big strikers until now, because now we've obviously got the Kane blank and Morata getting rotated. So that has changed it. Have we ever, though, had more than one heavy hitter in form? That's it. I don't think we have. I don't think there's ever been a game week where I look back at it and think there's been a choice of 2 or 3 heavy hitters. But then
we did quite. When I switched to 3 up front, there was Kane, Lacazette, who was doing quite well, Morata, Aguero, Lukaku was doing well because I was doing the hokey cokey with them both. So that was 5 strikers. That's why I decided to put my money in. But now it's so bleak.
Let's can we get Jay in on this because of Morata? No, he doesn't own Morata, but can you hear us, Jay?
Yeah, I think so.
Great.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, we've just been having a tour of your house. It's been fascinating.
My phone. Yeah, no, my phone was like, "You're going to lose battery." I was like, "Oh no!"
Oh, the old ass on the laptop.
Yeah, I know. So I was laughing to myself because I was like, "Oh, they told me about this." So blame Apple. But
You've done the walk of shame.
Well, I plugged it in, and then I was too far away from the Wi-Fi, and I was like, I told these guys I'm not technically minded, so this was like super challenge.
It's a nice house you've got, though, Jay.
Sorry?
Nice house you've got. We've had the tour.
Oh, cheers, mate. Yeah.
And, well, one of the main things you missed was myself and Az incredibly not bursting into hysterics as you were camera moving around. It looked like you were cooking. Someone on the live chat suggested you were making an omelette in the middle. You just said, I've had enough of this, so I'll cook an omelette. But yeah, so we're saying, Morata owners, you don't have Morata. What would your advice be to a Morata owner? Ditch now or hang on?
It would depend if you've got Kane. It's a hard game, isn't it? Like Everton one now. Everton away is a tough one.
Take into account they have got Kane, because I think most people have Morata have Kane too.
Right. I'd probably stick with him, unless he gets banned. He's got 4 yellows, hasn't he?
Yeah, this is it. I think it's one more week, and I think then we're going to see massive sales. I think obviously we're going to be prepared for Kane big sales because we've got the blank coming up, so that's going to happen. He's not going to get a flag, but of course people are going to be aware of it. So there's going to be a lot of people holding Morata and Kane for one more week, I think. And I'm in that batch, and probably on one will go, I imagine, unless they both get a big score.
Well, he's pretty rotation proof, isn't he? He's not going to get rotated in that he's already had the rest.
You think? But I mean, I think Conte's worried about him. I think the fact that I don't know how severe. I don't know if there was a back injury. I just think that he's worried that Morata just can't play regular matches when there's a midweek and a Saturday. So I think there's still a chance. I still worry about that. So I mean, of the two, I think Morata's going to be the one that goes for me, and I think there's going to be massive movement because after this weekend, as I say, there'll be Kane sales because of the blank, and Morata, if he draws another blank at Everton, I think the market's going to go crazy, and we might see hits akin to what you've just done, Jay. I mean, it's going to be a very strange time, I think, after game week 19, that's for sure. So I mean, Morata looks to be on a stay of execution for now for me, and maybe a few others. We're going to about Watford, John T.
Yeah.
Now this is a team that we built up with the fixtures. We talked about Richarlison earlier. Jay was talking about it as well. We mentioned earlier that Richarlison should have more goals. The defence has let us down as well. They can't keep 11 men on the pitch is the main factor, isn't it?
I mean, we've seen it so many times. You get, I'm going to say lesser teams, so apologies Watford fans, but by lesser I mean you're not in the top 6. And we see it so much. When you see the sea of blue and the fixtures coming, the ease of the fixtures, you just think, well, this is it. And we're seeing it with Everton at the moment, and we thought it was going to happen with Watford. So Red Arrows is saying, what's happening at Watford? Is Ziegler the football glue? So Ziegler's out at the moment. That binds the team together. Is it time to jettison those assets? Karen 14, it is Richarlison's time over in our teams. Watford's recent slump and Pogba coming back, that man again, make it tempting to swap. Yeah, that is a relatively easy move. There's only kind of 1.5 in that, so Pogba could be a handy differential. He says, I'm desperately seeking Duzan. Richarlison. The fixtures are good, but the form is not. Time to get rid. So just a quick reminder of the fixtures. They got Brighton away. I actually quite fancy them for that one against my team, who were without Shane Duffy. There's a reason Dunk and Duffy are playing every game, because the substitute, the backups, as we'll probably say as well, the backup centre backs are just not of.
You don't fancy Hullemaier?
Hullemaier and Goldson are just not up to the job. So basically, I probably wouldn't be ditching there. But then we've got Leicester at home, Swansea at home. You would think they do well. City away, that's a tough one, and then Southampton home as well. And just quickly, I've just had a quick look at the stats. So the stats have indeed taken a tumble. These are the underlying stats as well. So I compared the first 14 game weeks against the last 4 average. Goal attempts right down for Richarlison. He's averaging 3.5. Now he's averaging 2.2 a game. He's basically half as accurate with his shots. His threat from set play is completely down. Dribbling is down. Take-ons are down. It all points to what something Silva was saying. He's knackered. He's doing all the same things. He's just doing less of them. And he's doing less of them well. So, it's all pointing towards a rest at some point.
Yeah, he might get one. I mean, it'll only be for 1 week if he does. I watched him at the Palace game, and he still was lively. He gave him a lot of trouble, and he's always getting chances. He's just not.
It was that accuracy one. Now, he's not an accurate person anyway, but if he's even less accurate than he was before, then that's 0 goals. So that's the problem, I think. He clearly does need, I think, a game off and get his batteries recharged and come back. Because that's the thing. He's still doing it all. He's just clearly knackered.
Well, I don't think he's going to get a rest immediately because of the problems they've got with suspensions. So I think they're going to need him at Brighton. Now, hopefully it won't be at Brighton because, like you say, I think he could profit there. I'm all for keeping him. I think the value he offers, I mean, it's just the sheer volume of chances that he gets and his involvement for them is just too great. I want to show patience with him. Andy, what are you feeling about Richarlison?
Yeah, quite so. I mean, I looked at it yesterday and saw it's just 1 assist in 5 games, which is poor. But I kind of held on to him knowing that United and Spurs at home and then Burnley away were probably not going to yield me much points. And then in the next 2 games, there was sending offs in both of them, so you'd expect to be attacking a bit less. So I'm probably going to keep. If I had a good way to get Pogba and Silva in for him, would I keep them? I don't know. Because I don't, I guess I'm forced to be happy to keep him. But I think his stats have been up all season. I know Johnny just said obviously they've gone down, but I think there's reasons they've gone down in the last one. So I think for his price, I think he's as close as we've got to a Josh King from last year. I think his stats have been up all season, and yes, he misses chances, but he gets so many that he's going to start putting the odd 1 or 2 here away, and for that kind of price, that's all you need, really. So I think
what you're talking about as well is that it's not that there's anybody else who's as good a value. It's actually he's taking up a midfield spot. If you get a shot of Kane, suddenly you've got loads of money, and is Richarlison worth keeping for a midfield place? Not necessarily for the value.
Yeah, I mean, all bets are off then. If you've got the money, then you would reconsider. But I think if he enables you to keep a heavy hitter up front, then we're going to keep him. But he should be performing better than he is with the fixtures he's got. It's just unfortunate. I think he's worth persevering with just because I know that his stats have dropped off, but I still watch matches and he's still so involved for them. And they just need to keep 11 on the pitch. And maybe they'll do that at Brighton. As you're shaking your head about it, I mean, have you got views on Richarlison?
I'm going off him.
Yeah.
What?
I know. I watch Watford and he looks involved, but he reminds me a little bit of Tadic in that he looks great and you think he's wonderful, and when his stats are brilliant, he looks like the perfect player and he's cheap. And then you look at his returns and they're 2-6-2, 1-2, and then 6-8-7 when he's doing quite well. But I mean that is a poor return of points for any player, no matter how cheap they are. And I think if you can afford to upgrade into Pogba for only $1 million more, or 1.3 more, then I think I can't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with Pascal Gross in a way, in that he's regressed. But I think with Pascal Gross, that was always likely because I think he was overachieving. He wasn't having so many shots. He wasn't setting up so many chances. Richarlison's off the scale in that respect. So I expected it from Gross. I didn't really expect it from Richarlison. So I see your point. And I'm looking at it and going, if I don't go the Power 5, then Morata to Firmino, Richarlison upgrade is the other route I would go down. which I possibly could. So I get what you're saying, but I just want to give him more time.
See, I think there's something as well looking at the fixtures. So the fixtures he has City in game week 22. 18, yeah. So and that coincidentally, obviously, double game week for a bunch of other midfielders from West Ham and Spurs. Now, hopefully they're going to get 2 games or maybe 1.5 games, and then by that time you've got Lanzini, similar price, Arnautovic, similar price. You've also got Son as well, who's a little bit more. So basically, I look at that slot, the Richarlison's in there, and I look at game week 22, and he, for me, probably just he's going to be holding that spot for a double game week player, who I hope I'm going to get 2 games out of. Because I just think, and especially because of West Ham and Spurs both have good fixtures afterwards as well. So a player like an upgrade to Son would be, I think, could be quite good. And I think a player like Lanzini as well, or Arnautovic, if they're still in the current form they are with West Ham. Although luckily Lanzini is out of the picture for a little while.
Yeah, that rest might help him play the double. I don't see West Ham playing. I think they'll have rotation. Son might be a good bet because I don't think that Spurs will put a full strength team against Wimbledon. But it's tricky because the 2 days apart, there's got to be a lot of it. It's very difficult.
Yeah, you've got to think how much rotations there are going to be. There's going to be some rotation, so you're taking a bit of potluck. But he's not going to have a completely different 11 out. He's still got to have a proper team against Spurs. So he's still going to do that. And who are they playing afterwards? Shrewsbury. He's hardly going to I've got to save on Arnautovic for Shrewsbury, the mighty Shrews. He
won't want to go out the cup though, will he? Because that's what they're playing for. So
I think you're grossly overestimating the ability of Shrewsbury.
Well,
I mean, I might be wrong here.
I don't know.
But
I
thought Shrewsbury were rubbish compared to a Premier League.
I reckon when they got the draw, Shrewsbury would have fancied that. Probably less so now they've seen Moyes recover them a little bit. But I think in the Village days,
I've been in trouble with West Ham fans before, and I'm probably going to get it from Shrewsbury's 8 fans.
Oh yeah.
But
careful what you're saying. So at the moment, Richarlison, Jay, you're keeping him tight in your team, but
I think
he's got to be at risk, is he?
I've only just got him, so yeah, kind of. I'll sit on him for a while, I think.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough. I think we owe him to give him time because of what he's done in the past and the value he's offered us to this point. I think there's a point where we might have losses, but it's not quite there yet. And I think the fixtures are good enough where we can persevere. Sorry,
Deeney being out might help. Actually help, to be honest. I'll bring Gray in. I think they're better in attack when he's there. Yeah,
a bit more pace. Okay, we'll talk about West Ham quickly. Which hammer at the back? So at this point, I'll reveal my transfer. I've gone Ogbonna here. I mean, importantly, asked Ogbonna or Masuaku, which is the best choice, isn't it? I think getting both. I mean, West Ham value at the back, yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about that at the moment. And they got a good fixture at the weekend with Newcastle. So I've got in earlier on Ogbonna because it meant that I get the home fixture with Newcastle, and plus he can be on my bench until 22, and he should play both games. Defenders less likely to get rotated perhaps than midfielders. So I've gone Ogbonna. The reason behind that is just the bonus points. I looked at the baseline bonus and he's beneficial in that. I think he's nailed on as the centre back in the middle of the front of the back three. I think he's fairly secure there. I think he likes Reed on the right and Creswell on the left at the moment. So I've gone Ogbonna. That's my answer to that. John T, how are you feeling about West Ham?
Yeah, well, it's one of those two because this is going to be my move to get Pogba in. I just need that tiny little bit of extra that Maguire's moved down to one of those two. And I'm considering one of them. I don't. At the moment, my instinct is to go with Musaka because not Ogbonna. Yeah.
Oh, just to go for not Ogbonna. Okay.
Yeah, just to go for the other guy because he's got 8 crosses. And he's had, so a similar amount of chances, similar amount of goal attempts. But Bonner is basically that's it. He's got the baseline bonus. So I checked it out, and this is over the last 4. Bonner's 6.2 and 7.3. So that's what the comparison is. They're quite similar, really. There's not a tremendous amount in it. It's a question of do you go for the guy that gets forward and crosses? And he's 4.4. So this is, you're not expecting Alonso here. And Ogbonna, same thing. Are we going to go for the guy that's probably might get a slight more chance of bonus? To be honest, I don't think you're going to go wrong with either of them. The big thing is Jose Font. When's he coming back? We hope it's not for the double game week. I'm sorry, Jose Font, but maybe get better, but not that quickly. So when he comes back, will he even get into the side? And if he does, who makes way? So would Cresswell move over to the left wing back role? You're just not sure what's going to happen. But Bonner's only been in there since Font's been injured.
Yeah, I looked at that. Font's not going to be back until early in the year. I don't think there's any danger there at the moment. But I think we're going to get the double out of him anyway. So I think that's okay. I don't think these are long-term options, West Ham. I think they just would ride in the current form. They've got a good short-term fixture and they've got the double, of course. So hopefully my Bonner signing will last me to game week 22, but it all could change. I mean, it could be injuries sending off. He could even be injured or sent off against Arsenal in the EFL Cup, of course. So who knows? Andy, how are you feeling about West Ham?
Yeah, very boring. Probably going to be one of my transfers in this week as well. I like Masuaku just because he looks like kind of a bit of a flair pick when he plays, a bit more interesting maybe than owning old Bonner. But if they move back to a back four, will he then get pushed out the side? I don't know. So right now I'm looking at Masuaku, but yeah, I think they're both pretty similar, to be honest. I don't think there's too much in it really. You're either going for the bonus points, or you're going for the flair pick and hoping that he can get a big haul for you over the double. Yeah,
not like me. I went for the boring one, but and John's going for Masuaku, so I'm there. As West Ham, how are you feeling about defenders? Are you getting one in?
Yeah, I've got Masuaku, if that's how you pronounce it.
Spot on.
I think I might have pronounced him as some kind of Greek pudding.
Yeah, you were hungry there.
I think it is.
Just thinking of food.
Yeah, I got him in 2 weeks or before the Arsenal game and benched him for that game, so he got a clean sheet on my bench. I played him this week against Stoke, and he got another clean sheet. So I think 2 clean sheets in those games just shows how good the West Ham defence has really randomly become. Because I thought under Moyes they were just going to get smashed every week. So it's good that they're showing this team spirit that Moyes is trying to instill. And I think if I've got the choice of getting a wing back or a centre back, it's got to be a wing back, isn't it? Every time. I
love your wing backs.
Love wing backs. And
no, that's fair enough.
He puts the crosses in. He's 4.4 million. Yeah, he's I think he's a great enabler to get some more expensive players in your team.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern was when we get to 22, it's still way off, isn't it? Still some games off, and I just worry that is he going to get more? Is he more likely to be rotated because he plays left wing back than a centre back? Probably is, but who knows? It's a very difficult one. I'm just looking ahead to game week 19 and thinking, well, a West Ham defender at home to Newcastle looks all right. Now, Jay, you don't have to worry about this kind of budget defender because your back defence is full of cash. So, I mean, what's your views on West Ham? Do you think there's value there?
I think you've just sold it to me on Ogbonna. If you'd have come to me first, I'd have said Masuaku. I like the look of this guy, but I've not researched it enough to think about, what you guys have just spoke about, changes in formation, people coming back from injury. So that Ogbonna, based on what you said, Mark, looks pretty nailed. And like I said, I'm quite risk averse, so I'd probably go for him.
Yeah, I mean, whether they'll keep this up, we've done 3 consecutive clean sheets. We saw it tonight with Everton in that we're jumping on the value that they offered at the back, and then they go and concede a silly goal tonight. And that's the issue when you're going for the cheaper defenders, is the reliability of these defences. Burnley have been the exception, though. I mean, that fantastic value. At the end of the season, I'm sure there's going to be a Burnley defender, if not the goalkeeper, in the team of the season. It's just whether West Ham can keep it up and match the kind of value that the likes of me and Ward and Tarkowski have given us. We'll have to see.
I think one thing you do need to think about is this blank game week that they have. When we're talking loads about rotation, so don't give yourself a problem by signing a player that definitely hasn't got a game that week, because if there is 3 or 4 of you guys that miss out, then straight away you're down to 10.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to look at that. I mean, I think when you get a player in like a Bono, if you're getting them in now, you've got to look at what you're going to have for 21. But of course, you can plan for what you're going to have for 21. It might not be what you end up with because, as you'll testify, you can get all kinds of issues, early injuries, suspensions, and so on. I think suspensions will be out of the way, but certainly injuries could certainly happen. So, yeah, get a Bono in by all means, and make sure you've got someone to come off the bench in game week 21, and it's not going to be Hunnemeyer.
And it's not Bonnie.
No, or Bonnie. Could be Kevin Long, though. Kevin Long looks like he's going to get, because of Tarkowski's ban, looks like he's going to be sticking around. Okay, more questions, John T, before we get to the preview. One more, I believe?
Yeah, just one more. Just what's on it's a traditional one, festive Yeah, what's on our Christmas fantasy wish list? Mike Harbrow asks, I'll sign off with a festive one. He says, what is your one Christmas FPL
This is easy. This is easy. It's obviously going to be a Harry Kane hat-trick, isn't it? Either against Burnley or against Southampton. Because until he gets a hat-trick, we're going to be doing this we're going to be talking about him every week. The only way we're not going to talk about him every week is if we all sell him, or he goes and gets a hat-trick and we're back going, oh yeah, that's all right, we'll get Kane, that's fine. So he needs to settle it one way or another. So it's either a blank, 2 blanks, or a hat-trick is what I want. But it's going to be all about Harry Kane for me this Christmas. There you go.
Good. And what about you, Jay?
No snow.
That is a good point as well. We don't want that, do we? That will be a disaster because that would be postponed games.
Were you guys all playing the game? That was it 09, that Christmas where it was crazy.
And it was just Tim Cahill played.
Yeah.
Only Tim Cahill. The rest of the team, even the rest of the team didn't play. Yeah. And there was another one with Manchester City, wasn't there? And it was just Tevez again. Anyone who captained him just got points, and everyone else got 1.
It's a horrible feeling, isn't it? Because you're kind of like, well, you're looking forward to the game, but then it just dwindles bit by bit.
I'm going to be a bit different to Jay here. I actually want snow.
Why?
The reason is because when
you've asked for a sledge for Christmas,
because as Jay said, the kind of hopefully the wiser managers will have a full squad of 15. And I've looked around a lot of my mini leagues, and they're already about 2 or 3 down. Lots of red flags there. It's like October 1917 in Moscow on some of those teams, and it's just red flags everywhere. And I think, yeah. And also, what happens then? You get snow, you get more double game weeks. And what happens with people on Fantasy Football Scout and double game weeks? They tend to shoot up the rankings, while others that don't follow those fixtures so closely. So I'm going to be a bit different. I'm actually going to want some snow, and I think I can take a bad snowy week for all those lovely double game weeks.
No, I don't. More double game weeks. I can't cope with it. Az, what are you feeling? What do you want for Christmas? Come on.
I just wish that I will beat Jonty in the Mods and Contra League over Christmas, just so I don't have to come on the Scoutcast and see him.
It is close. It's getting close now.
I know. I hate it. I hate the fact he's second in the league, and I hate the fact Green Windmill's got 100 points this week and is now 3rd. So yeah,
hold on. You're top. Me, Jonty, and Green Windmill must be just behind you now. Then.
Yeah, it's Jonty second, then Green Windmill, and then you, I think.
Yeah, you're out of it, Mark. It's just me and Green Windmill who's worried about it.
Yeah, I didn't know he got 100 points this week.
Yeah, well, I think he got 99. I just had a look. 99 this week, which is crazy. So yeah, that's
what are you about 20 ahead?
Not even that.
Oh right. Okay.
No, the gap is coming down a bit.
Okay, Andy, what do you want for Christmas?
I would just
New Shane Long poster, maybe.
I've still got the old one. I shan't put that up yet. I would like to nail 2 or 3 captains in a row. I've only had my captain's only scored 10 or more points, obviously before the captain 3 times this season, and I've had so many. You've scored 50-ish, nearly 60 points, but just not had that captain to make it a really good week. And it's going to start this week with Raheem Sterling, hopefully. So over Christmas, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, I'd just love to nail a captain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm going to have to come round to captain Mo Salah eventually, aren't I? It's not going to happen this week.
I said that week ago to you.
I know.
I ain't captained him since.
No, I don't know what's wrong. Weekend preview, and let's do it. Well, we pick a clean sheet, we pick a fancy island risk, and then we talk about our transfers. Jay, I hope you're not making 5 again because we could be here all night. Okay, Jonty, clean sheet from you, and your fancy island risk, of course.
I think I'm going to take a risk and say Burnley against Spurs. And I know that's
clean sheet for Burnley.
I think a clean sheet for Burnley because they're not conceding a lot at home. I think at best, looking at Arsenal, and they just squeezed one past. So it's a bit of a controversial one, but I just think Spurs are a bit out of form. I just cannot see. I think they could get a goal. I think I'll just go something a bit different. I think Burnley play Pope if you got him.
Yeah.
And for risk, now I'm going to go for one. So I'm on a bit of a roll here. I think that I've had about 4 successes in a row. So I'm going to give you all a chance here. And I'm going to go for Palace's Sacco, the one that isn't injured. And so it's an easy fixture he's got. Benteke suspended. I think Sacco's going to start off front. And he's quietly been scoring. So he's looking to get to score for his 3rd match in a row. His ownership's 0.1%. So yeah, they'll be dancing in the streets of Fancy Island, Risk Island, and indeed Croydon, should he score.
Fair enough. Okay, coming to you, Jay. Clean sheet and a Fancy Island. This is how it works, basically. You just come up with a nonsense player like that.
I've got to say Burnley, haven't I? Given the Kane scenario,
Yes.
So I'll back Jonty. I really like Arnautovic. I think he could start doing well.
Hold on, Green Wimble, does he allow that? Is he allowed?
He did. Well, I had Arnautovic last week.
Yeah,
so and I did confer with him. He is allowed. He believes Arnautovic to be rubbish, but the evidence suggests otherwise. So I think Jay's got a winner there.
Playing well up front. 13 shots up with Salah in the last 3 game weeks. Just transformed him. And we know he's a player who can perform when he's on it, but he's just not on it often enough. Good picks, Joe. I think I don't agree with the Burnley one, obviously. As clean sheet and Fancy Island Risk.
Yeah, I've been doing all right with the clean sheets lately. I've been going for some slightly more obscure teams, so I think I'll play a bit safer this week and just go for City at home to Bournemouth. Because Bournemouth
that is very safe.
They don't get much safer than that. But
no.
I think if you're picking a clean sheet, I just can't see them scoring in that game. They seem to, against Liverpool, they were just toothless, and I think that's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, and your Fancy Island Risk?
My risk, I'll take a preference. I'll take Gundogan.
Yeah, could play. I mean, we'd have to expect him to play, wouldn't we? So he did well. I mean, in that team, obviously you're going to get chances.
He's a funny player because he's very defensive minded, but he always seems to be in and around the goals whenever he plays.
But when he got a run in the side last year, Guardiola let him play further forward, and he came out and said, "I've got more attacking role." 5-3 as well. It's a good price.
And I think as well, but for people who have gross and who are gross, he's a good player just to make a sideways switch to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 5-3 for 1 week for sure. I mean, depending on what happens with Silva, what the situation is. Andy, Fancy Island Risk.
Yeah, probably. I'm going to go for because West Brom are really bad at football, and I think Stoke at home, they're not much better, but I think even they can keep a clean sheet against West Brom. So I'm going to go a bit risky with a clean sheet. Go
Stoke clean sheet. Really?
I know. I thought West Ham was too obvious, so go Stoke. And then risk. I think Southampton going to score a few past Huddersfield, and yes, it'll probably be Charlie Austin, but I'm going to back Tadic to at least get maybe a there and a clean sheet point.
Yeah, I think Charlie Austin's hopefully be a good bet against Huddersfield. I've kept him for this in mind, but we'll have to see. But yeah, no, fair enough. Clean sheet, I'll go West Ham because they kept 3. Newcastle, I don't see a goal for it really. They keep chopping and changing their strikers, but I don't see Benitez stumbling on a solution until January when he gets a new striker in. And Fancy Island Risk is easier. I think I'll go Andre Gray because I think that Jonty, and we talked about him with Richarlison, I do think Watford will get some joy at Brighton. And Andre Gray is going to play. I actually think that he was doing well, and then they brought Deeney back in, and it's not help matters. And so Gray's got a run of 3 matches now, so I'll go with him. Got to go cheap strikers. Some strikers have got to score some goals, surely. Okay, let's do our captains and transfers. At the moment, I'm on Sterling for captain, considering Charlie Austin. Jonty tried to play mind games with me earlier today and emailed me going, "Oh, you should captain Charlie Austin."
I think you should. He's a great.
Okay, yeah. All right, thanks for that. He's my vice captain at the moment. But yeah, he'd be a very good punt if I was the gambling type. If I was the type of manager to take a 12-point hit in a single game week, I'd probably go with Charlie Austin. I might still, but it's probably going to be Sterling because I just see he's more or less a striker for them. If he doesn't play in midweek, he looks certain to play against Bournemouth. And Bournemouth, without the defensive force of Charlie Daniels, are in trouble, I think, if he's going to be out. So that's mine, Sterling. And transfers, well, I've done Ogbonna. I'm probably not going to make a second one because I'm probably going to leave it to give me the option of what to do when Morata and Kane inevitably blank. So we'll see, but I'm probably not going to make another one. So it's been Ogbonna in for... Who did I take out? Tarkowski, because I thought the ban was imminent, and indeed it looks like it is. Okay, Jonty, your captain and transfer.
Well, I'm waiting for the City team sheet midweek. If Sterling's absent there, then I think he looks great. I just think it just looks good. But Salah will be my vice captain, and so if Sterling plays all of that, then I'll get the heebie-jeebies about him starting at the weekend, and I would go on for Salah because I just think, although Arsenal are pretty tight at home, they don't concede that many. Liverpool do have form against them. They look devastating, and they just exactly the kind of team I think they're going to score a lot against. So, yeah, wait for City team sheet. And my moves, West Ham defender enabler in for Maguire to get Pogba in for Loftus-Cheek. So, nice upgrade, I think.
He's gone. Ruben's gone. Even after returning at the weekend.
Well, I mean, some other posts, I think FPL Fredo was one that echoed my views on this. With Loftus-Cheek, I'm going to see, he's been getting some points. But the thing is, are you going to get those points? So this week he got 6 points. He's sitting there on my bench. That's no good to me. And I'm not going to play him every week. So it's just picking it. So I think I much prefer getting a player in fifth midfielder. I say fifth midfielder, midfielder who can play every week, and I think it's going to get me points.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Into the power five for John T. Yeah, Liverpool. I mean, the only thing with Liverpool is we've seen them do this before. Look amazing one week, then can't break down Everton a week later.
I don't go with that. Basically, I've no doubt that Liverpool would do well. It's just more about starts, and I actually think Sterling's better because just City are better and Bournemouth are worse than Arsenal. So that's the rationale there. But no, I don't buy that. Liverpool are going to score lots against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. As your captain,
that mind game there.
It's been a lot of mind game tonight, I think.
I know, it's like all the people backing Liverpool go, oh yeah, wait a minute, maybe they are rubbish against Arsenal.
No, not rubbish. I'm just saying they're very
4-3 to Liverpool this fixture last season.
I know. Go on. As your captain and transfer. So
I know who I'm taking out. I think I'm definitely taking out Gross and Firmino.
Sad days,
It is incredibly sad days. Brighton have just lost it. They just don't look good, and Gross it's the subbing I think that makes me want to get rid of him. If he was playing 90 minutes, I'd keep him for the kind of nostalgia. But getting subbed at 60 minutes and getting rotated, I can't be dealing with that. So he's going to have to go, I think. And I need to get a City player. So that's happening. I should decide who to lose out of Kane and Morata. At the moment, I'm leaning towards losing Kane because I think Morata's got 3 nice games. 3 nicer games than Kane, and Kane's got the blank. And then I need to decide who to get in out of Jones and Christensen, which I put a thing on the site earlier, and it just everyone, it's Jones, Christensen. No one can give a straight answer. So I have no idea. It's going to be one of those two in for Firmino.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I said Jones to someone earlier in the week. Then I think, well, he's probably going to get a rest in one of the games. The first time he's played a midweek game on a Saturday was just gone, game weeks 17 and 18. So that kind of suggests Mourinho's got confidence in his fitness, but it's still tight.
I just hate watching or checking the scores and not having a Man U defender, because you just know they're going to keep clean sheets. And when West Brom scored, I was so relieved. But yeah, it's a Mourinho team, and with Matic and Jones back, I just think they're just so strong. And
fixtures are very good as well. Andy, your captain and your transfers.
Yeah, transfers. I mean, Elliott coming back has kind of helped me in the goalkeeper front. So I'm probably just going to get Maguire out for a West Ham defender. And then after that, I don't know if I'm going to... I've got 2. I don't know if I'm even going to spend it. And then captain, I think it's going to be Sterling. He's played quite a few games, like 90 minutes in a row, in the league at least. So there's a slight worry about rotation, but that stopped me captaining Salah and Sterling so often this season that I'm just going to ignore it this time and just captain Sterling. I don't think I really have a better captain unless I think Morata or Hazard against Everton, but Big Sam's obviously got him quite resolute. So, yeah, Sterling looks the best, so he's going to be my captain this week.
Okay, and the one that people really care about, the one that they're probably going to copy, Charlie, what's your transfer and captain? Presumably you're going to make one transfer this week, surely.
It'll be Man City somebody coming in and a Man City somebody captain, and I don't quite know yet until, like Jonty says, this West Brom Cup game is really important, and my old mate David Silva, just to see what's happening with him. So it'll definitely be a City captain.
So if De Bruyne comes in, would it be him over Sterling, you reckon?
Assuming Sterling doesn't play midweek, I'd probably go him over De Bruyne.
Yeah, that seems to be the
He's the top scorer for Man City, so why wouldn't you? You know,
I know he's been fantastic for us, and he misses chances, but he gets so many that he's getting 1 or 2 goals a game anyway. So it's just incredible. Just the positions he's taken up as well. I think when we had that debate about Sané or Sterling, Sterling's beginning to show why we kind of opted for Sterling at the time. Okay, well, it's been fascinating. I've got so many more questions I want to ask you, Jay, because it's just going to be fascinating week by week to see how this progresses. We can't fit them in now because we'll be here till 1 a.m. But I hope to get you back in a couple of weeks when we know more about how this is going. Perhaps when we get to Kane's blank as well, because that's going to be a turning point about what you're going to do next. Whether you get Kane back in for the 22,
cool.
We'll see what happens then. So we'll talk more then. In the meantime, we're going to watch. Well, I'm fascinated to see how it pans out. And I think many of us are going to follow the Power 5. I think that seems to be inevitable. I think on the site and across the Scoutcast tonight, that looks to be the way we're all going to go. What has happened to forwards, Jonty? What is going on in this season? It's ridiculous. When are we going to get a decent forward again?
Well, as I said, it's I said earlier, it's those value. When you're looking for value, you're just not getting it up front, and you're getting it in bucket loads in midfield. I mean, I wish we could have 8 midfielders. So many I want, and there's hardly. I don't even want any of my. Even though Firmino got me points, I don't even want him. I don't want any of them. I want to go with what Mike Highbrow was saying earlier. I want to go for that 4-6-0 formation. Let's get it.
The only thing is, though, it doesn't make any sense because are we really going to go for a season where a striker is not going to be the leading scorer in terms of goals? It might not be the FPL score. I think Hazard will win FPL.
I think you have to when it comes to Liverpool. You're going to get all their. You got Firmino's he's not their kind of main attacking threat. He enables the attacking threat. And then when you've got City as well, you've got Aguero and Jesus just alternating. So they're never going to rack it. They're never going to compete with Sterling if Sterling's playing every game because they're playing half the games. So I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think the only two is obviously Kane once they start firing and Lukaku, because while people have a pop at Lukaku, and I was last week saying he's not getting much, but he's still getting those goals every week, every other week now, and he'll keep doing that, and he could end up with the golden boot, but in the most boring fashion. It'll be the most boring golden boot. It'll just be a boot.
Yeah, it's just a strange old season, I think. I can't remember a time where we've been so bereft of big hitters up front, which are viable. And like you mentioned, the City rotation, Firmino playing up front for Liverpool, Kane erratic scoring, Morata now, Lukaku having his dry spell. It's just all added up to a bizarre situation. Andy, do you see an end to it at all? It sounds like you're sticking by Kane and Morata, or certainly one of them. Do you see it ending very soon, or do you think this is going to go on now? We've just got to make that move.
Well, that's what it will turn into. That's the problem. It's always, unless you take a hit like Jay's done, it's kind of what it happened. Because for me, it's a luxury move getting rid of Morata or Kane this week. Sometimes you just got to take that hit and do it. I do think the Power 5, if we were wildcarding right now, I think that's where we would go for. So that kind of answers the question. It's just whether you've got the transfers and what else you've got in your team that you need to do. But yeah, I think I don't think I'll do it. It's just the way I play. I'm just not that kind of manager. But yeah, I think it's the right move. I don't see why you wouldn't in midfield when there's so much value there.
Please, strikers.
What was that, Jonty? Sorry, Jonty. You just said you think it's the right thing to have 5 power midfielders, but you're not going to do it because that's. I didn't quite.
I'm an idiot like that.
No, Andy, yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to take the hit. I would have to take a few hits to do it this week, so I don't know if I'm going to do it straight away. Even though, I do think it's the right. I do think it's the right move, but I'm also slightly worried that I'm not going to take out Morata and Kane. I've got to take out one, and because they're both on a yellow card, I'm worried that I'm going to take out the wrong one. So I'm basically non-aggressive move. Really, I'm doing the opposite of what you did. And considering your ranks versus mine, I should probably go the other way.
But then, listening to you, you've said my captain choices haven't been quite right because I've let other things sway my decision, and now you're saying this is going to sway decision. I just think if you think it's right, go for it. Even if it sounds mad to everyone else, if you think it's right, just do it.
I don't think it does sound mad to everyone else. I think everyone else would probably agree. I'm just not prepared this week to make that decision on Morata and Kane. I don't think. I still think Morata's got something to offer. And I think we haven't seen enough of him with Hazard in the side. And I think the fixtures are there. Obviously, if he gets the yellow card this week, that's a whole different story. But I just don't think I'm going to do it this week. But that's what I'll work towards over the coming weeks is the Power 5, because I don't see City slowing down anytime soon. I think Pogba's great value. So I do want to work towards it. I just don't know if I'm going to go straight in for the kill this week.
Yeah.
Slow and steady wins the race, Andy.
I think it's going to take a big event at the weekend to change people's outlook on that. I think either Kane or Ras got to do something pretty amazing, and don't quite see it given the fixtures and the form, but we'll have to see. We'll see when we come back on the Scoutcast next week if things have changed. Jay will be back in hopefully in a couple of weeks to talk about where he's at with his strategy, and we'll see, presumably there's no more hits to come. But you never know with these Maverick managers. He says he's a dullard. I'm not convinced. It's a good night for me.
Good night from me.
Good night.
From me.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Pleasure. Good to see you.
Jay. It's good night. Good night, all.